Welcome to Not What I Thought. I'm Erica.
I'm Yolanda.
And I'm Becca. We're therapists, entrepreneurs, and perfectly imperfect humans.
We first met during a business owner retreat where we became fast friends because we're not afraid to be real and ask the hard questions about life. What we thought it would be like, how messy it actually is, and the courage it takes to create the life we want.
We continue to build our friendship and personal growth through our own retreats. We find the deepest connection in sharing our struggles and finding what we have in common rather than what divides us.
We're breaking down hard topics on our podcast and together have conversations about what it takes to find real talk, real support, and real rest for professional women. We're glad you're here. Join us on your favorite podcast platform.
Hey, welcome back to Not What I Thought. And today we are talking to Monica about a topic that I know we'll all be interested in, moving from insurance bureaucracy into private business ownership. So I can't wait to hear her story. Monica, can you tell us all about it?
Well, sure. Yeah, thanks for having me, ladies. I took the leap from insurance-based practice to all cash and membership-based healthcare almost 7 years ago. And it was probably the scariest decision I ever made, but hands down the best one ever. What I thought was going to happen when I got into healthcare is I was going to take care of human beings. I was going to sit, I was going to listen to them, I was going to learn all about them and all of their issues. And what happened was I did paperwork for 85% of the day so that I could prove to an insurance company that what I said that my patient needed was in fact the truth. And it was awful. I treated my patients like cattle. I was constantly giving them prescriptions to put a band-aid on their problem because that would increase my billing and make the guy in the C-suite happy. And I was so burnt out. I became a nurse practitioner at the age of 25. And at 35, I was like, I'm out. I'm done with this. I can't do it anymore. And that is when the model of direct primary care fell into my lap via a Facebook ad. Of course, the clickbait worked like a charm. Um, and it was all about this idea of taking healthcare and the relationship and the payment back to provider and patient. So now I run a direct primary care office. And so those that don't know what direct primary care means, you are in the norm, not the exception. That is my job, is to educate the world on direct primary care. So it is membership-based healthcare. It's much like Netflix for your doctor or affordable concierge. So all of our patients pay a monthly fee under $100 a month, and they get unlimited access to the office. So there's no copays when they come in, includes their annual physical, no deductibles to meet, includes their annual physical lab work, sick visits, prescription management, telehealth visits. And the best part is that you actually know the person on the other end of the phone. And so we are really all about relationships and really understanding our patients, who they are, what their struggles are, and how to make them feel like better human beings without all the bureaucracy and paperwork. There you have it.
So we for sure have questions.
I'm
We can
sure.
go back a little bit. So you're
Yeah.
a nurse practitioner and you said your kind of area of focus is primary care. Is that right?
Yes. So
Okay.
I became a family nurse practitioner. And so as an FNP, you can see cradle to grave, basically. That's all that means. So I worked in orthopedics for a while. I did urgent care. I did family medicine. I did venous and lymphatic medicine for a little while. Um, and as much fun as specialties are, I was trained to take care of a whole person. And that's really where my love for healthcare lies, is taking care of the whole person. Um, but it's exhausting in the lovely fee-for-service insurance-based system. So
Can
I
you talk a little bit more about like how the burnout developed for you? Because I heard this like I became an NP at 25. By 35, I was ready to be done. And like I'm guessing that listeners will, at least many of them will have some connection to what that feels like, where you're kind of starting to put the pieces together that this just doesn't fit. This doesn't work for me. If you can talk about what your experience was there.
absolutely. So I will tell you, and you three ladies are probably in the same boat. We did not go into healthcare to spend 4 minutes with our patients. And that's what I was forced to do, is I had 2 to 4 patients, typically somewhere between there, on my schedule every single hour. And I was expected to see them, make my plan of care, treat them, and get my note written in 15 minutes. And it
Mm,
was absurd. I can't even ask you about your day at that point. Like, I don't even know your name yet. And so
mm,
the average primary care provider in this country takes care of 2,500 to 3,000 patients. How am I
mm,
supposed to know these patients? Yet I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be responsible for all of these things. And
Mhm.
there was all these rules and restrictions as far as, well, I can't do your physical and your pap in the same day because then my reimbursement gets cut in half. And
Mhm.
so I don't mind, the patient doesn't mind, but the guy in the C-suite minds, and I need to keep my job. So I can't do that for you. I can't see you for your annual physical and talk about your sinus infection. Sorry, you're now going to have to go pay a copay. It was ridiculous. And
Mhm.
then trying to guess what an insurance company would cover or they wouldn't. I, as the healthcare provider who went to school for 9 years, think that you should take medication A or get lab work A or do treatment A. Yet your insurance company says, sorry, we don't accept A. You're going to have to choose E, F, or G, which are
Mhm.
not even on my radar, not what I would suggest for a patient. But then we have to do these things because their insurance company says so. And it
Mhm.
was so frustrating. And all of the red tape and just literally treating my patients like cattle. And then there comes the times where this could have been a phone call, right? I mean,
Mhm.
women with UTIs, you need your thyroid medicine refilled. Well, I can't do just a phone call or a text message because I don't get paid for it then as a
Mhm.
healthcare provider because I have to have the documentation to bill your insurance company. And so then I get these patients on my schedule who have no need to be seen, but then the patients who really do need to be seen can't get in to
Yeah.
see me. And it
Mhm.
is so frustrating. Also, as the healthcare provider, you're the only one that makes revenue for that office. Yet you have a medical assistant, you've probably got a receptionist, there's a biller, there's a coder, there's an office manager. They all have to get paid. And so if I'm not seeing patients, they aren't getting paid. And
Mhm.
therefore, my patients could never reach me. I would see a patient and say, hey, let's try this and let me know if it doesn't work. And they would call the office, and I was like the damn Wizard of Oz in the back. It was like nobody could talk to me or touch me. I was this thing, but this voice behind the curtain. And it was awful because then my patients would show up 6 weeks later when my next available appointment was. And I'd be like, oh, how are you? And they'd be like, I'm miserable and I haven't been
Mhm.
able to get in touch with you. And then they're real pissed off at me, even though I didn't do it. It wasn't my doing. If I had known they called, I would have happily talked to them on the phone. However, there's like four gatekeepers in the way before they can actually get to me. And it was awful. And I hated it. And it was
Mhm.
not fun. And it was not why I went into healthcare.
I really appreciate you sharing this because I mean, right? I've been that patient that's like, this could be a phone call or the
mhm,
thing about like, I can't talk to you about this because it's my annual physical and I have to make a second appointment. Like, I have been that.
Mhm.
And um I think I just really appreciate hearing that it is also frustrating and dehumanizing for the provider, right? Because it's so easy for us
mhm,
to go into like, oh, those doctors, those nurses, those whatever. And it's like, no, this is the whole system that's broken. And like, you are a victim of it as much as we are.
Absolutely. It is amazing how much the guy in the C suite wants to tell
Hmm.
me how to take care of a patient, yet he's
Hmm.
never done it a day in his life. And
Hmm.
it is awful. And, we see this in a lot of industries where the
Hmm.
guy who's the boss has never been the receptionist
Hmm.
or the medical assistant or the provider, and they don't know what we deal with all day long. The same holds true at McDonald's, right? Now, I do think McDonald's requires that you work your way up the world, but in so many industries, the boss has never done any of the jobs, and so they don't understand it. And I will tell you, I think that's one of the biggest differences with my office now is when I opened my office, it was just me. I had no
Hmm.
help at all. So I did the faxes, I cleaned the toilets, I emptied the
Yeah.
trash, I did all of the things. And so, as the CEO, I understand what these people are going through, and that makes our decisions different.
So, Monica, talk me through. This is years and years and years of layer upon layer of frustration and burnout.
Mhm.
What happened that you called it and you were like, it's scary. I don't know. What I make up is going out on your own is scary. It was scary for me. as a
Yeah.
therapist when I decided to do it. And that's what keeps a lot of us in these positions, right? Because the pain of what we know is oftentimes, better, quote unquote,
Yeah.
better,
Hmm.
more digestible at least than the fear of what we don't know. So, talk me through that
Yeah,
process.
absolutely. So I will tell you, 6 months before I opened my practice, I didn't even know what the word entrepreneur meant. I was playing tennis with a young woman who had just graduated from college. I said, "Oh, what did you get your degree in?" And she said, "Entrepreneurial studies." And I said, "What does that mean?" I
Mhm.
legit didn't know. And so being my own boss was never my plan. If
Mhm.
you had told me 10 years ago that I would open my own practice, I would have literally laughed in your face and been like, absolutely not. I don't want to know who turns the lights on and who's cleaning the toilet and doing, I just want to do my job.
Mhm.
But I was relocating to another state. So I moved from New Mexico to Texas and I was
Mhm.
trying to figure out what I wanted to do because, once again, I love primary care, but it is exhausting. And it was literally a Facebook ad that came to me and
Mhm.
said, primary care physician takes home $400,000 a year and is home in time for dinner. And I was like, that's a lie. Click. And it was all about this model of healthcare. And so I jumped in with 2 feet, really like did all of the background, the studying, the what is this? And then I went to my husband who has an MBA and I said, husband, I'm going to open my own practice and I'm going to see less patients, take better care of them, have more control of my time, and make the same amount of money. Ladies, he straight up laughed in my face.
Mhm.
He was like, Monica, that is not real life. You might be
Mhm.
able to have two, maybe three of those, but you can't have all four. And so I Googled how to write a business plan because AI was not a thing yet.
Yeah.
And I wrote a business plan and was like, hey, I need $20,000 and I'm going to do this. I'm not going to get paid for 6 months, but I'm going to do this. And thankfully, my husband is I call him my sugar daddy, but he's like 4 years older than me, good looking guy. But he makes enough money and we had saved enough that I could not make money for 6 months
Mhm.
and we would be
Mhm.
okay. Knowing
Mhm.
that if 6 months in it was an absolute failure, I could still go back and get a job as an employed nurse practitioner.
Mhm.
Thank God that didn't happen. And I'll tell you, signing the lease on my space was
Mhm.
so intimidating because you have to
Yeah.
personally guarantee it that whether you use this space or not for the next 3 years, you have to pay for it. So
Right.
that was probably the scariest part of it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was seeing other people do it and finding mentors who could walk me through it and
Mhm.
listening to other people's stories and be like, you know what? If they can do it, I think I can do it too. And so I
Mhm.
did.
And you did. That's fantastic.
I did.
I
I really
love the acknowledgement in there of like, I had a certain level of privilege and security that allowed me to take this step, right? Because like not everybody has that easily. I could afford to not make money for 6 months.
did. Hmm.
Um, and also love that you had a partner who was, even if he didn't love the idea at the beginning, like was willing to support you, right, in
Yeah.
doing this.
And now he loves
Um,
it.
yeah.
And I will tell you, I mean, I was cash positive month two.
Mhm.
And that was moving to a new state where I legitimately knew two people in all of
Mhm.
Central Texas. And
Mhm.
so, especially for those that are considering this jump, but already have an established practice and are already known in the community, I think that jump is much easier
Mhm.
if you have that following to come with you.
The other part that I'm sort of connecting with on my journey too, right, of like leaving a place where I was an employee to starting my own business was that like going at it with support, right? Because I remember in my own journey, I was like, I don't know what I don't know, and I don't even know the questions to ask.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And I found an online course and a coaching program with people who are like, let us show you how to do that. It's actually how Erica and Yolanda and I met, right?
Yes.
I love it.
But just like, um,
Yeah.
yeah, resonating
It's
with that part that when we want to do something new, you often don't, while it might feel like you're doing it all alone, like you can find people who can teach you and support you. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
And that's the same with me. In fact, I now want the whole world to become DPC providers. And so last year, I launched a book and an online course
Okay.
for those that are looking to get into this space. And the book is not a how to book, it's a should you book. Are you the right person to do
Hmm.
this? And as much as it's written for DPC providers, it also applies to entrepreneurs from all walks of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is specific to DPC, but there's a lot of things in there like setting boundaries. You have to learn how
Mm-hmm.
to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
as a healthcare provider, I was so bad at it, so
Mm-hmm.
bad. And then I also launched a course that is the actual how to that, like, how do you
Awesome.
establish an LLC? How do you get a bank account? How do you, and all the steps to do that? Because what I realize is I want direct primary care to change the world, but
Mm-hmm.
I am not opening any more clinics. I have three. That's enough. I don't need any
Mm.
more because everyone takes more of me. And so this is my way to change the world, is to get the rest of the people to do it and be their mentors and help them walk through it. Because I'll tell you, nothing fills my cup more than when I get to sit down with somebody, be like, don't do that. I did that. That was a bad move. Let me tell you how to
Mm-hmm.
make it happen without that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I also run a conference with two other ladies for nurse practitioners and PAs looking to get into the DPC space. And so we're actually going on a cruise ship in 3 weeks and doing a conference on the cruise ship. And so it should be really great.
I guess I'm curious because I'm so inspired by what you're doing, and you're definitely putting a lot of thought and intention, and you're expanding and you're trying to figure out how to change the world. I guess I'm curious for you, what has changed, right? Like obviously less burnout, more money, less patients, like all the really good reasons, but like what's changed in your soul? Because I feel like it was soul crushing
Oof,
what you were doing before.
it was. And so many things have changed, Erica, like
Mm-hmm.
more than you know. So I actually don't see patients at all anymore. I gave
Mm-hmm.
them up a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, to just be the CEO of my business, which
Mm-hmm.
I was really afraid of doing that because
Mm-hmm.
that's my identity. I've been a
Mm-hmm.
nurse practitioner for 18 years. Like, I can't just walk away from that. I have this license, right? Um, but what I realize is that I'm a relationships person, and whether that means I'm out in the community building relationships with people to build my business, or I'm sitting down and having coffee with another business owner, or the fact that I am personally responsible for 11 people's livelihood is
Mm-hmm.
shocking to me. Like, the amount of fulfillment and joy that it brings me to write paychecks is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Because I have the most amazing team on the planet. They are the best humans that have ever existed. And I'm so grateful to have them in my life. And now my days are just different, where I'm trying to make sure that my employees are taken care of and that our patients are taken care of and that the world knows that we exist. And so my days are much different, but I also have so much more control of my time and my life. Someone asked me a few weeks ago what my idea of success in business in the next 12 months looked like. And I told them that I would be able to get on a plane with my family and fly over an ocean at least 3 times. And they said, no, 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 your business life. And I was like, no, that is, because if I have the right people, systems, time, and monetary investment enough that I can make those trips with my family, then my business is killing it. And that is
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I'm going for. I am not here to burn myself out and work 80 hours a week. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of entrepreneurs do, is
Mm-hmm.
because we constantly think, as a business owner, we have to go bigger, faster, stronger, increase your revenue year over year over year over year. Well, I'm here to tell you, you really need to define what success means to you, because success
Mm-hmm.
to me means that I have the time to spend with my family, right? It's not a revenue number. It's not a new patients this month. Now, do we track those numbers? Absolutely. But if we don't meet them, that doesn't mean we're not successful. It means that, you know, things change. There's only so many things we have control over, especially in the world of
Mm-hmm.
business. Like, some patients will stay forever and others will go, and that's their choice. And you can't, taking that personally was very hard for me in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn how to get over that. But really defining what success means to you, because at one point I thought it meant that I needed 10 clinics and that
Mm-hmm.
I was going to open a new one every year. And I physically got ill because I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to reach success that I thought I wanted, but turns out it's what I thought everybody else wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm over it. When people ask me now, like, oh, when are you opening another clinic? Never. I
Mm-hmm.
just hired my last provider Last week, she signed her contract. I will not ever hire another employee because I'm going to keep them all happy. I'm going to keep them where they are, and we are just going to ride off into the sunset together. It's going to be great.
I love this so much. Like, there's a lot of the journey that feels kind of similar, right? That I also am a relationships person. I see very few therapy clients now and sort of consider my relationship work as with my employees and like taking good care of them, right? Like
Hmm.
that's resonant for me. But I also love this, like, we get to decide what success is, right? And it's okay, probably good and really healthy that I get to a point where I say, this is enough. This is all that I want. And I don't have to keep in this like strive and hustle place
Hmm.
that I say, this is exactly as big as I'm going to be. And I get to enjoy that.
Yeah.
Mhm. I
I've been an
really love that.
overachiever my entire life. Like I'm a 3 on the Enneagram. I don't fail. Like I am a what's next? What's next? And I'm actually getting, and this is a temporary one, but I have a
Ah.
tattoo on my arm. I'm trying to figure out where I want it. And it actually says enjoy the journey because I
Mm,
think too often we're like, okay, here's my goal. Okay, I got there. Next goal, next goal,
mhm,
next goal. A, we forget to celebrate them. And B, we
mhm,
forget the process to get there. Like,
mhm.
it's exciting that you have employees that are happy and get to do what they want to do. And so sometimes I think we just have to sit and just enjoy the journey sometimes.
Or I've seen this a lot in the business coaching that I do that like we work so hard to get to a goal. And part of setting the goal is like, to use your example, like I want my business to be big enough that I can travel freely with my family, right? Like that's the point. And then we get to that phase and we're so in this like strive that we're like, well, now it's not three clinics, it's five and it's seven. And we forget that the whole point in getting here was so that we could go do these things and take these trips and like have
Absolutely.
this wonderful life, right? Like
Hmm.
it's yeah, I wish that more of us that we like gave ourselves permission that we can really just enjoy what we have worked for, that we know how to say like this is good enough. This is all that
Hmm.
I want. This is all that I need. And then I get to just maintain this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
has it taken for you to get to that place where you said,
Ooh,
actually, I'm not opening any more clinics. This is just it.
a lot of therapy. Lots of therapy, lots of journaling. And
Mhm.
actually the catalyst for it was that I went on a reality TV show that was a business entrepreneur competition. It's called The Blocks. I was on season 18. You can Google it. It's BLOX. And
I didn't
spoiler
know someone
alert,
else was on that show. So cool.
yeah, spoiler alert, I won first place.
Mm,
I competed against 120 other entrepreneurs and I won. And it was finally like validation of like, oh my gosh, I belong here. I actually am an entrepreneur. I know what I'm doing.
hmm
And so that kicked me into this whole like, well, crap, I don't need just 10 clinics. I can do 20 clinics because I am an entrepreneur. And I physically got ill. And I
mm,
finally like sat down. In fact, my therapist was on the show with me randomly. We both were on the same show. I had told her about it. She applied. It was great. But like my maybe second session with her after being on the show, I was physically ill. I was sobbing, and she's like,
mm,
"What is going on? Like,
hmm
where's the woman I just saw on that stage?"
hmm
And she was like, "What are you doing? What are you chasing?" I just never could be enough. It was like, well, I won an entrepreneur competition. Now I have to prove to the world what a
hmm
great entrepreneur I am. And
hmm
so it was with a lot of therapy and a lot of journaling and a lot of like really sitting down and talking about what I want my life to look like because it
hmm
is not opening 10 clinics and working 80 hours a week. I could do it, but my son wouldn't know my name. And he's
hmm
10, and I kind of like to hang out with him. And I realized that I have 7 more summers with him before he's
hmm
off in college and doing his own thing. And so it was lots of journaling, lots of lots of therapy. Hmm.
You might have already alluded to this, but I'm finding that I want to ask you if you had a message for that younger version of yourself that was grinding away in someone
Hmm.
else's business, seeing how many,
Yeah,
10 patients a day, 12, 15?
right. So I have been trying to please others my entire life by
Mm,
proving that I'm worth it.
mm,
And I still struggle with this every day, but figuring out that I am enough. I'm enough
mhm,
just the way I am. And
mhm,
sometimes I have to look at myself from the outside. If I
mhm,
was talking to another woman who had built a business from nothing to 3 clinics and was employing 11
mhm,
people with no business experience, do you know how in awe of that person I would be? I would be
mm,
like, holy crap, you are like the most amazing human I've ever met. And I would want to be their friend. And so sometimes you have to look in the mirror and be like,
mhm,
be proud of that person. I still struggle, right? There's always some day where I'm like, oh, I should have said this or I should have done that. But ultimately, look at yourself in the mirror and be proud of yourself. We talk so poorly to ourselves.
mm,
If you talk to your best friend the way that you talk to your internal self, you wouldn't have a best friend. Let's be
mhm,
honest, at least most people. And so I'm really learning to change that internal dialogue from, hey, you don't have to do these things. It's okay to
mhm,
just do it this way and to really focus on what I think is important, not what I think everybody else thinks is important.
mhm. I love that. All right. Monica, thank you so much for being here today. When you reflect on our conversation, what does your heart know to be true?
My heart knows to be true that there are so many amazing entrepreneurs out there that don't even know it. They're just afraid to take the step. But I'll
Mm,
tell you, if you're going to invest in anybody, invest in yourself, and that will
mm,
take you further than anything you've ever done.
love it. Mm. Erica, what does your heart know?
My heart knows I appreciate that reminder to really focus on what success means to you. And I think that can shift us out of repeating old patterns. So if we're serving a business or bureaucracy or other things, and that was keeping us overwhelmed and burnt out, why would we do that again to ourselves in just a different way? So let's look at what that actually means and then figure out how to get there. And that can look different for everybody. That's a good reminder too.
Mm. What
Yolanda,
does
what does your heart know to be true?
I am appreciating Monica's reminder of a focus on this internally based self-esteem, like not externally, not based on what we have or what we do or what other people think of us, which is what so many of us do. But I actually have the ability to hold that for myself, um, to say, yeah, this I'm exactly what I need to be, um, and to love myself. So thanks for that, Monica. We can go far and do really beautiful things when that is the center of where we operate. How about you, Becca? What does your heart know to be true?
mm, I'm sitting with that idea from the beginning about how when systems don't work or when they
Mm-hmm.
are like lopsided and only supporting, right, the guy in the C-suite, that it's so easy for us to kind of um, turn against each other, right? The patient and the provider. It's like then we're frustrated when we really are all victims of the same system. And just a reminder that coming back to our why, coming back to the shared humanity in all of it, like that is the way out. That was the way forward for Monica, and I think for all of us too. It's like, oh, I don't want to be in this place. Let me move somewhere else where I can reconnect with why I do this work in the first place. Thank you for that. All right, Monica, tell people where they can find you, find your book, your podcast, your conference, all the things.
Absolutely. So, Monica McKitterick is a pretty rare name. So, you can just Google me and you will find me on all the platforms. Impact Family Wellness is the name of my practice. And so, we are that on every social platform. My book and course are through the dpcformula.com, also on all the platforms. And our conference is called the DPC Launchpad. We will be setting sail in just 3 weeks. So, come join us. But yeah, just put my name into Google. You'll be able to find me on about anything.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, ladies.